Greetings, my friends. I want to thank you all for subscribing. I want to thank all of my channel members for supporting me in this endeavor to save pop culture. And if you are not subscribed, please consider supporting this channel. We need you. Thank you. Greetings, my friends. I am Dictor Van Doomcock, the future ruler of Earth, broadcasting from my hidden base at the center of the Earth. And holy crap, folks! After a string of failed games that racked up financial losses and pissed off customers, some, like Assassin's Creed Shadows, drew harsh criticism even before they were released. Now it looks like UbiSoft is running and, yes, even hiding from their own investors, judging by their actions just yesterday. On Thursday, Engadget published an article titled, "Something Funky is Going On at UbiSoft," and that is an understatement, my friends. The maker of failed titles like Assassin's Creed Shadows with the Samurai of Color and Star Wars Outlaws with the lead female character they uglied up to look androgynous and appease the DEI crowd took some extremely unusual actions yesterday, actions that suggest their failures may finally be catching up to them.
The wages of woke is broke, Doomcock. Of this there can be little doubt. Although I was under the impression that Assassin's Creed Shadows had wound up doing okay. Was that not the case?
That was not the case, Harvey Cthulhu. Gamers and enthusiasts of Japanese history decried the storyline incorporating a samurai of color, and the game actually wound up being a failure. Although I don't blame you for being confused. The game had a very strong launch, with the second highest day one revenue in the franchise's history. It surpassed 1 million players on its release day and 3 million within the first week, and it was the top-selling game in the US during March. And yet, the wages of woke caught up to it. And what happened? Sales ultimately proved to be much lower than expected, selling only 4.3 million units in over half a year, a lower number than Mirage sold in 3 months. The game had the biggest budget in the franchise's history, but failed to generate a comparable return on investment. It had a massive player drop-off once people got a look at the thing, with over half of Steam players not completing the first act and a significant drop-off within the first month. This is just the latest big failure for Ubisoft, following a string of failures so bad that PC Gamer called them out at the end of 2024, declaring, "Ubisoft had an absolutely dire 2024 and desperately needs a win." Quote, "Following a rough 2023, which saw Ubisoft wrestling with poor financial results, several cancellations, underperforming games, layoffs, and CEO Yves Guillemot effectively putting all the responsibility on developers rather than looking inwards, the publisher has failed to right the ship. 2024 was an absolutely dire year for Ubisoft. Once a powerhouse publisher, Ubisoft might still be churning out the big blockbuster games, but judging by the last couple of years, and especially 2024, it seems to be incapable of getting a win or turning things around. Even when it does release games one would expect to be successes, it just doesn't seem to be able to attract players. It's hard to imagine how the last 12 months could have been worse. Yes, Ubisoft needed a win in 2025, and that win did not come. Far from it. And that may be one of the reasons why Ubisoft publicly ran away from an investor call just yesterday. Get this, folks. As Engadget describes it, quote, "It's been clear for some time that all is not well at Ubisoft. Between games not meeting the studio's sales expectations, studio closures, downsizing elsewhere, and sexual misconduct issues, wow. It's been a rocky past several years for the company. But now it seems something else may be going on at the publisher. Just before it was set to hold a call with investors on Thursday, that's this last Thursday, ladies and gentlemen, Ubisoft said it was delaying its half-year earnings report and halting trading of its shares. It has asked Euronext, the European stock market on which its shares are listed, to halt trading from November 14th until it publishes its earnings results, quote, in the coming days, unquote."
Wow, dude, that kind of sudden public retreat, halting trading on your stock, running away from an investor meeting, it looks really bad. Like they're running scared or something. But why do all of this at the last minute? What were they thinking? Because such a dramatic turnabout is going to attract attention.
Harvey, you're spot on about that. Speculation is running rampant. Some say it could be some kind of accounting issue they need to sort out. Others say it could be some major breaking news like UbiSoft is getting sold or possibly going private again. But Eurogamer had this take on it. Quote, "If you're wondering if Ubisoft is doing this because of broader market conditions, it's worth noting that whilst markets are in a downward trend today, it's only by about 1% in tech financials markets. The most simple answer? Today's earnings report is going to be spicy and is liable to cause a big swing in the price of Ubisoft shares. In the current call, it's possible investors will discover additional info that will have an impact on business decisions they'll want to make," unquote. Folks, there can be little doubt that something's afoot at the Circle K, or in this case, the Circle Ubisoft. Based on their performance over the last couple of years, I have to think this delay ain't good. Just look at the string of failures. Skull and Bones had a long and troubled development cycle. Game was released with mixed reviews and underperformed commercially, despite a high development cost. Avatar, Frontiers of Pandora. The game received little marketing, struggled to attract players, generating significantly less revenue than other Ubisoft titles. I've already talked about Star Wars Outlaws, which had a huge marketing budget, but did not meet sales expectations and was considered an underperformer. Y'all remember a game called X-Defiant? It was a free-to-play shooter, free, ladies and gentlemen. And yet it failed to build and retain a sufficient player base and was shut down shortly after its release.
Wow, nothing says fail like walking away from a free-to-play game.
Yeah, not much investment there, and yet it was too much. I guess they needed to pay the players, I don't know. Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown? While critically acclaimed, the game underperformed commercially. Its development team was disbanded. That's how badly Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown failed. And I already talked about Assassin's Creed, but I didn't talk about Assassin's Creed Mirage. Though it promised a return to the series' roots, the game sold only 5 million copies total, which is considered a weaker performer for the franchise. And how about this one, ladies and gentlemen? Lord of the Rings Gollum.
I didn't know there was a Lord of the Rings Gollum.
Yeah, I guess a lot of people didn't. Now, it wasn't officially an Ubisoft title. It was developed by a partner studio, widely criticized for poor gameplay and technical issues, and the developers had to apologize, and the whole Middle-earth title series that they were considering releasing was canceled.
Holy shit on a stick, Batman. That is quite a litany of fail.
Eventually, all will be revealed, Harvey, but in the meantime, their investor call was canceled until the coming days, whenever that is, and they've frozen trading on their stock. Who knows? There may well be a benign reason for these drastic moves, but looking at this litany of woes, I can't help but think Ubisoft may be on the run. From the center of the earth, this is Dictor Van Doomcock bidding you all, my friends, stay angry. Ha 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 ha